18 and a half years later, Natalee Holloway's killer was finally in a U.S. court. He pleaded guilty to wire fraud and extortion. The Alabama federal judge imposed a concurrent sentence to the Peru sentence he's currently serving for another murder, that of 21-year-old Stephanie Flores. This concurrent sentence, in my view, means he will serve no time for wire fraud and extortion to which he just pled in Alabama. The federal judge had the authority to instead run the wire fraud and extortion sentence consecutive to his Peru sentence. She didn't. I wish she had. He deserved the maximum penalty. Yesterday, after the hearing, I spoke to Natalee Holloway's family attorney, John Q. Kelly. Here's that interview. John, who would have guessed? We met when you were the lawyer of the estate of Nicole Brown Simpson back in L.A.
30 years ago.
30 years ago. And here we are in Birmingham, Alabama, and you're the lawyer for Beth Holloway.
It's a story.
It's a story, indeed it is.
It's a story, and it's got an ending today, I think.
Well, I don't know if it does. I mean, you and I go back and forth on that, about whether it does.
Well, either way, it's probably the end, whether it's a truthful statement or a false statement.
All right, well, let's talk
What's
about
the follow-up?
Well, no, I don't know. But let's talk about the statement. And I know, I know the U.S. Attorney's Office wants to believe this confession. I think it's at, what, number 5, 6, or 7? How many is he?
I think 7. This would be the 7.
He's given me 2 confessions. One I got in Aruba, which is sort of a confession. He said he left her on the beach. The other one he gave me in Thailand in 2008. Every time he gives a confession, though, he turns around and says he made it up.
Right, which he will do as soon as he gets back to Peru with this.
Right. He will mock this U.S. Attorney's Office and the Birmingham, Alabama, saying that he made this up so he get this sweetheart deal.
Yeah, and he'll probably take back everything he said about the Holloway family and the grief he caused them and everything else.
Because he's a liar.
He's a liar.
You know, and the thing is that the thing that you and I have discussed this, we're lawyer to lawyer, is that the U.S. Attorney's Office polygraphed him. And they say that's the corroboration to this version, this 7th confession.
No, they didn't say just that. They said they did an extensive investigation also, which...
Okay, well, then tell me what the extensive investigation, because I've been up to my eyeballs in this case for 18 and a half years. Tell me what they did since they got the case that's extensive.
I have no idea what they've done besides the polygraph test.
Do you believe they did this? An extensive investigation?
I don't see what they could investigate.
So the answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay, so all we've got is the corroboration being the polygraph. Do you believe in polygraphs?
I believe they exist.
Do you believe that they
I believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny too.
Do you believe that they identify with reliability deception and non-deception?
At times.
But how do you tell the difference? How do you know how do you know?
Well, you don't. You got to measure the person taking it too. I mean, some people can convince themselves before they even convince the polygraph that they're telling the truth.
You think O.J. Simpson would pass a polygraph if asked of whether he killed his ex-wife?
I think he might now. He didn't back then. He showed deception, but I think he's convinced himself he didn't do that.
All right. So if someone's an incredible liar, or has convinced himself that he didn't do the crime or did the crime, you can beat a polygraph.
You could, yeah.
Okay. Why aren't they admissible in court if the U.S. Attorney's Office is relying on them? If the U.S. Attorney's Office says this is how we know he's telling the truth this time, why are polygraphs inadmissible in court?
Well, because they're not reliable to the extent of beyond a reasonable doubt, right?
Right. Which leads me to this. Do you believe this story Joran Van Susteren telling now?
You know I'm not going to answer it. What matters is whether Beth believes it or not, and she does.
And Beth does. Do you believe it?
That's a nice try. It doesn't matter what I believe.
Yeah, well, I know why you won't answer it.
Well, then why are you asking me?
That's sort of the look. I have a huge upset here with the fact that you worked so hard in 2010, and it's unbelievable what you did in trapping him in a crime with the FBI next door videotaping it, and you did everything exactly with it, and then they didn't make an arrest.
We know that. That's why we're here today.
Right.
13 years later.
13 years. You did your job.
I did mine.
And did it effectively.
I would think so.
And 13 years, the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI in Birmingham didn't bring him back here.
Well, they should have brought him back the next day, in 2010, after he was videotaped taking money.
And how long were you in Aruba after you were in that room with him?
12 hours. The FBI got me out of there at 5 o'clock the next morning. They debriefed me, and I went home to New York.
And what did they say why they didn't arrest Joran on the spot?
I have no idea. I didn't know. I thought they were going to arrest him the next day.
They didn't arrest him the next day, the next day, the next day. They never arrested him.
No. By the way, Joran was also telling me he was turning himself in, so nobody was doing anything they said they were doing.
Oh yeah, you've got a trail of emails with Joran where he says after he extorts the money from Beth through you, he sends emails to you saying he's going to turn himself into the police in Aruba.
Yeah, and he also apologized for making a fool out of me by taking my money and not telling the truth.
Yeah, which brings us to here, which is why this is so troubling here. You know, I want closure for Beth more than anything else.
Well, she has it, don't you think?
Well, you know, I mean, as long as she has it her, you know, it's her mind. But you don't believe this story.
It doesn't matter what I believe.
Right. Okay.
You can ask me upside down, sideways.
All right. So you do the sting operation in Aruba in May of 2010.
Right.
You leave because the FBI gets you out of there.
Yeah.
The FBI remains there 11 days.
I didn't know how many days
Okay.
were there.
All right. Well, that's my recollection. 11 days. I'm sitting we're having conversations meanwhile in the days after you leave, all the time on the phone.
And Joran was out of Aruba, but
That was what I said. You and I were having conversations, and I remember you telling me, because I said, why don't they arrest him? That I used to say that they've arrested my clients on far less, and that he committed this crime on camera, and they didn't arrest him. But it was in a foreign country. Give him that much.
Well, they shared it right away with law enforcement in Aruba, too.
And so what do you think happened?
Right after I had finished with the whole sting operation, the Aruban law enforcement was brought in. So they could have acted also.
But I remember you were having these conversations, even three-way with Beth.
Right.
And the fact that Joran wasn't arrested, you were back in New York, I was in Washington, Beth is in Alabama, and they hadn't made an arrest of him. And I remember you telling me, because it was so perplexing, that he was under surveillance 24/7, so we didn't worry.
Right. Well, that's what I was told, and we were all waiting for the news flash to come across that Joran had been arrested.
And then sometime later, sometime after May 30th, 2010, because it's all pushing up to that date, I get a phone call in my office, and it's got a long number. I answer, and someone's speaking in Spanish. And I said, I only speak English. And the person said, switched to English and said, I'm a reporter calling about Joran van der Sloot. And I was enraged because I thought somebody leaked the sting operation, that the FBI, you know, that the FBI was trying to arrest Joran, and that somebody leaked it. But that wasn't why I was calling.
No, and I got a call to turn on the news and saw that Joran was in Peru or at the border and been arrested for murder.
Yeah, and the reporter said, because I kept digging questions, because I thought I wanted to find out who leaked your sting operation with the FBI. And so I asked the reporter, he wasn't even calling about that. He was calling because Joran had slipped out of Aruba under the nose of this 24/7 surveillance, gone to Peru, gone to a casino like he met Natalie, meets Stephanie Flores, takes her back to her hotel room, beats her to death, and then leaves, and that reporter's calling about that one. And meanwhile, the FBI never thought he was in Aruba.
And he'd also spent Beth's money on a gambling, a poker tournament in, I think it was Venezuela or somewhere, before Peru.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awful.
And then so the U.S. Attorney's Office here, they had a live indictment since 2010, and they never brought him back here to stand trial.
Well, they didn't actually have the indictment until he was arrested in Peru.
No, they had. Then I have the indictment.
Before Peru?
No, you're right. He got arrested in Peru, so they ran out and got the indictment.
The next day.
The next day, they ran out and get the U.S. That's right. They ran out and got the indictment, but it's been sitting there for 13 years.
Right.
And the U.S. Attorney's Office did nothing.
They didn't want to touch it. And you dragged Joran back, kicking and screaming, pulling strings, pushing people, pushing buttons, and raising hell for 13 years till you got him back here.
And here we are today, but you know.
We wouldn't be here today without you.
Well, it's very kind
I hate to compliment you like that on the air, but I will.
Yeah. I tell you, it's been it's been a long haul. You've done incredible work for your client, and I got to tip my hat to you. But I'm very disappointed in the U.S. government, very disappointed in the U.S. Attorney's Office here, and it really does take people sort of banding together to get things done.
Oh, we've been a great team.
Anyway.